Okay, Coach, well, why don't you just start us off with a little introductory statement as we get the game week stuff going here with the local media.
Yeah, with all the practices and is a little longer camp than normal, I think every football team throughout the country, college football team, is ready to play games and see what you really do have. Been really proud of our guys throughout the summer and certainly over the last 4 weeks and how they've worked. You know, camp, I've said this a couple times, it's been drama-free, a lot of new guys, 40-some new players there, some new staff members. They've worked really hard, and I can see there's a little pep in their step yesterday's practice because it's game week, and they're ready to go out against somebody different than their own teammates, so it should be a fun week.
Questions for Coach?
Coach, just with the running backs, I mean, how do you see that breaking out in this first game? How much do Nick Wilson and J.J. Taylor need to play in this first game?
Yeah, we really feel that we have three starters there. Certainly Nick and J.J. are two explosive guys that even though J.J. just played a few ball games, you know, we think he and Nick are kind of 1A, so to speak, and so is Zach Green. Zach Green's been in the program. We think he's a starter, and we've got Nate Tilford and Brandon Leone have done a good job there too. But it's good to have Nick and JJ healthy, and Coach McGee's done a good job in camp of getting them ready, yet at the same time not trying to wear them out during camp.
You have Brandon and Khalil listed as kind of co-starters, I guess, on the depth chart. What is the meaning of that "or" between those two guys?
You know, not as much as maybe you all would like to put into it. I think it'll start to clear up a little bit. You know, we've been practicing 6 quarterbacks in the last week. We've whittled that down to 4 guys getting ready, and then, you know, the Brandon and Khalil have been the ones that have taken reps with the ones, and they've both gotten better. That's been a good thing. The competition has helped all the quarterbacks, and particularly those 2 upperclassmen. You know, I think Brandon's gotten a lot better. I think Khalil has been tried to close the gap and is still competing with it, and you know, it'll clear up by the end of the week. I feel confident with both those guys, and I do feel confident 2 freshmen too. They've learned a great deal in just 4 weeks in the system, so we're in a pretty good spot there at quarterback.
In terms of all the new guys on defense, you find yourself having to scale back on the playbook a little bit for the D, or?
Yeah, that was part of my dilemma of like, okay, we're going to have a lot of young guys, particularly defensively. They're going to have a chance to help us out. How much do we put in? You don't want to confuse them, but you got to have enough defense in to be able to stop all the variety of schemes that you'll see from week to week. And I think our coaches did a good job of that, and the players deserve a lot of credit for learning so quickly. You know, we didn't really have to scale back as much scheme-wise on either side of the ball than I had originally thought because they were such quick learners. And again, games would be a little bit more nervous for them, I'm sure, for the newcomers, but there's a whole bunch of them defensively. And we thought coming into camp that we had some competition at linebacker and the secondary with the young guys, and they've given that and then some.
What's impressed you about Kylan Wilborn to make you think he's ready to start on Saturday?
Well, he's a big physical guy. He's an outstanding pass rusher, and you know his understanding of football has been outstanding. It's the same way with some of those other freshmen, Schooler, and you know Troy Young, Tony Wallace, Scotty Young. Scotty Young's been phenomenal since day one. Now, all those young linebackers it reminds me of the class we had a couple years ago with Scooby Wright and Turi and DeAndre Miller. That freshman linebacker class contributed right away, and this freshman linebacker class is doing the same thing.
What has Derek Foles done to kind of lead Luca Bruno on the depth chart?
Well, he's not. That should not be Derek Bowles and Luca Bruno. It should be or. You know, I mean, sometimes to put it on the, I don't know. I don't really look at this much. I consider more of. Yeah, man. I think it's important. It's more a position chart, but Luca's the starter. So I don't know who's going to be the first one out there. But Derek didn't pass up Luca. They're both played really well in practice and are considered co-starters.
What does Derek, though, give you that maybe you haven't had in that position maybe in the last few
Well,
years?
he's an experienced guy. You know, he's played before, and he's an athletic, active guy. He's not the biggest guy. He's kind of like Parker, but he's got a great get-off, and he's very active with his hands. We needed to get bigger defensively. We're still not as big as we're going to be or we'd like to be, but they're an active group, and they've done a good job throughout camp.
Where does Larry Tharp fit into the mix in the defensive front?
Yeah, he should be on here too. I mean, he's a guy that can play both end and tackle, and so I've looked over this briefly. I don't want to say I didn't look it over, but Larry Tharp is a guy it's not like he's like an or as well. He'll play, and he'll play at multiple positions on the defensive front.
Is there something about his skill set that enables him to do that, whereas maybe some of the other guys are more?
You know, he's a longer guy. You know, that's the way he can play outside because he's a longer guy, and he has a pretty good feel for if he's not there during a pass rush, so to speak, he can get his hand up and try to disrupt either the throwing side or bat some passes down. He's as good as we got in that regard, and he's had a really good camp. Larry's worked hard, been proud of him, so he's definitely there in the mix.
How far has Parker Zellers come in his time here?
Yeah, he was an unrecruited, really, I don't know if he'd tell you he was recruited, but really it's kind of almost an unrecruited walk-on, that undersized guy that has had a chip on his shoulder since the day he got here. And since that time he's earned a starting position, earned a scholarship, and still plays with that chip on his shoulder. I just love the way Parker's plays and his energy, and I know this is a big, important year for him, and he should be one of our key guys up front.
I know we're inundating you with questions about the depth chart, but there's a few guys who are not on here who maybe thought were going to be on here, like Isaiah Hayes, Jamie Nunley, Bryson Kane. Is that for injury reasons?
Yeah.
Or performance?
Yeah, injuries. When did we give the injury report out? So I guess to be fair to you, Michael, those guys that DeAndre, Jamie, Bryson, Isaiah, all injury-related deals. So I don't know. Isaiah would possibly have a chance to play Saturday night. The other ones won't.
What do you expect from your offensive line, in particular in Week 1 against Northern Arizona University, with a couple of guys that come back and have a lot of experience playing for you?
We do have some experience up front. We still our goal was to find 8 to 9. With that, Bryson was one that was going to be probably one of those 8 or 9 guys. But with the rest of the guys that have played and started, they've done a great job. Coach Michalczyk has done a good job of throwing everything at them in camp. They've seen just about every possible front and blitz you could see in 4 weeks. Not just some from our defense, but some from we've manufactured just to see if they can handle it. And you can tell the experienced guys have been able to grasp that, as have the quarterbacks for the most part. So, I think they're kind of, not that they won't make a mistake here and there, because, it's hard up front to play against all the variety of defenses you'll see, but they've done a good job of recognition and all the offense we've thrown at them, which has been more offense than we've probably done in any camp since I've been here. They've done a really good job scheme-wise.
NAU is a team you set offensive records against a couple of years ago. With all the new players that you have playing, is that a good team to start against for this season?
Well, we got to play against, I think we're ready to play a game, period. I don't, for the first 4 weeks of camp, 3.5 weeks of camp, we're concentrating on Arizona. Now, since the end of last week and this week, we're obviously putting in stuff to be prepared for NAU. But I don't look at what happened, 2 weeks ago, let alone 2 years ago.
Can you use what happened against Grambling last year as kind of a lesson for the players to not, even though this is an FCS team, you can't overlook them, et cetera?
I mean, maybe a little bit. I don't think I mentioned much. I think guys know that. I mean, we were, they've got players on scholarship. They've got they're a well-coached team. They're going to play hard. They can look at the first half or 3 quarters against ASU last year, what NAU did against them. So our guys, frankly, we got to make sure we take care of Arizona first, and we got a whole lot to prove. There's, as I told the team, everybody will talk about what happened last year or the year before or even last week until you start playing games. And when you start playing games, they'll talk about what's going on right now, and that starts Saturday night at 8 o'clock.
Your Week 2 opponent, Houston, is obviously in a very difficult situation along with everyone else in Houston with the hurricane. Have you been in contact with any officials from that school about how they're dealing with this, where they're practicing?
No, I've read a little bit about it. I haven't paid probably as much attention to what the schools. I've seen it on the news. It's obviously our thoughts are with the folks in that along the coastline of Texas, and from what I understand, some of the teams like Houston have moved to Austin or practiced there to get ready for their first game. But I think it's having lived in New Orleans before, and now always being a threat of a flood or some hurricane or something. It's you try to have plans, but when it happens something like this, it's certainly a tough thing to deal with. But they're getting a lot of help, and I think everybody's reaching out to them. But I'm sure they'll have a plan. It's a thing that maybe you could maybe try to prepare for, but as hard hit as they've gotten, you know, the athletic events have taken a back seat, I'm sure, to what's going on with all the folks that are just struggling to find a place to live.
Coach, obviously with the new rules this year, we'll only have you on Mondays, players won't be here. Are they, like, on the off days, are they even allowed in the building on their own, or can they?
Oh, yeah, they come in on their own. I think it's silly that they can't, you know, on their off day, that if they choose to have some interviews and talk to you guys, they should be able to do it. But, yeah, there's been, I've seen a couple dozen guys rolling in and out of the building today, whether they're coming in and watching film on their own or going down in the weight room or going and getting treatment. So I think at this level, you know, you don't have to really tell or ask guys to come over. They're going to do it anyway. But I've seen a bunch of guys over in the building, and they'll probably see a few more later on this afternoon.
Is there for lack of a better comparison, is there a Scooby Wright guy who beats you to the weight room like we heard those stories a few years ago?
No, they don't like to get up early if they don't have to. You know, we practice early on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so they're getting up early on Monday. I'm sure they can sleep in till 9 or 10 or whatever the heck it is. They're probably sleeping in. I'm in a little earlier than that.
So what should fans expect Saturday night? Just an average fan out there going to the game, this team was 3-9 last year, I don't know what we're going to expect this year. Well, what can the fans expect?
Yeah, I hope they're not taking that approach, Jason, that they're not. Like, you know, I hope they're just excited. Let them see what this team's all about. I mean, I think that's what's exciting. And because we have, you know, on the flip side of, I wish we had a preseason or exhibition game so we can fix our problems and know what we have as far as problems go. But the exciting part is that you don't really know what you're going to get out of your team until they start playing games. And so I hope they're excited. We got a lot of exciting players. It's going to be a really, really fun team to watch. I think it's always a great atmosphere here. The school does a good job. So I think if they love football and they love U of A, they'll come out on Saturday night and support the team and have a lot of fun. I think they'll have a lot of fun watching our guys because our guys will have fun.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for the Gronk bobblehead?
Well, I got reminded of that this morning. Somebody asked me if I had any bobbleheads in my office. I don't think I have any, so hopefully I can get one of the Gronk bobbleheads. I got a Gronk mug, you know, now I add on to a Gronk bobblehead, and that'll be nice. So it's good. It's also my daughter's senior year cheering, and she's a captain, so I'm proud of her. Not that I'll get to watch her, but I know she's excited for that too. So everybody's excited finally for game day to get her Saturday night.
Anything more for Coach?
What's the story on the 2-on-2 basketball game with you, Coach Sweeney, and Irving Meyer?
Yeah, that was old news. I mean, that was like back in February on a Nike trip. We were just looking for some physical activity. We thought about like volleyball or something. Then there was a little basketball court by the hotel, and it was hot too. I mean, it was hot and humid, and so we were just going to play probably a little friendly, maybe a game of horse or maybe 33 or something. Then we wound up going 2-on-2, and Coach Shaw was the one guy that played college basketball, he said. And he did. He's got some skills. But Dabo and I took Coach Shaw and Urban down, took them down hard too. Of course, conditioning was a huge factor, even more so than that fight the other night. I mean, after about 15 minutes, we were all done. So conditioning was a factor, but thankfully Dabo and I came out. I think I shot the most. I think he made the most, but I think I took the most shots. It was good. We won.
Which one did you defend?
We switched off. You know, they were setting a lot of illegal picks. Both Urban and Shaw were. And so, I tried to take the bigger guy, Coach Shaw, but they were setting a lot of picks, so we had to do a lot of switching from what I remember.
Did you watch any of Oregon State or Stanford?
I did.
Again?
Well, not as much Stanford because I was going back and forth between that and the fight. I was watching that. But I did watch a lot of the Oregon State game. And Colorado State was very impressive. I mean, they were ready to play. They got a really neat, it looks like a really nice new stadium, so it was a good start for them.
Did you have a fight party at your house? Or?
Well, yeah, a party of 2 or 3, no, 3 of us there. But we got the players, I think, I don't know how many came over here, but we had it here in the building. And I know a lot of the guys were there. And I had a friendly wager with Coach McGee on the results of the fight. And let's just say I was happy and let him have it in the staff meeting because I won the bet.
Coach, has there been any update on an indoor practice facility at all?
I think there might be news forthcoming. That's about all I can say about it, but I think there's been some momentum building, and I know it's something that we've been hopefully trying to get, but right now I'm just worried about getting the first down against NAU and trying to get a 3 and out.
Anything else for Coach? Okay, guys. Thank you.
Okay, we'll get this updated for you guys too. Sorry.
That's modest.